What is up, Retromaniacs? My name's Mike, his name's Joe, his name's EP, and we're here to talk about cards, just like we do every Wednesday. This week, we have another question and answer session. Feel free to give your answers below. I want you to give your answers. Tell us, how would you answer this stuff?
You're required to give your answers.
Required. If you're watching, you better do that. We're going to check up to see who watched, and if you don't have answers down there, we're going to come look for you.
Yep.
Although it sounds like I'm going to do the questioning, I'm not. I'm going to turn it over again to EP. EP.
Well, I listen to a bunch of audio podcasts, and like there are some, it's like they'll bring up a different topic, or they'll have a question from one of their viewers or listeners, and so I've compiled a bunch of these questions. I figured we go through a couple of them because I think
we're just going to rip them off.
We're just going to rip them off.
Good idea. Absolutely. I'm all for it.
I listened to the crossover. I listened to Sports Card Therapist. Listened to a lot of different podcasts, and so yeah, this.
Stop getting credit.
Yeah, who gives credit for ripping people off? Yeah, right. Come
on. So the first question I have for you guys, I'd like to answer too. If you lost interest in cards, what would be the worst part of the hobby?
Having all the stuff that I have. What would I do with it? Like, I have cards everywhere. I'm not a minimalist collector like somebody over there. I have crap everywhere. Like, what would I do with it? I don't know. I kind of felt like that way when I closed my shop in 2004. That's why I have like almost 1 million cards still in storage. So yeah, that's the worst part for me.
First off, I have to respond to that shot. I'm not a minimalist collector. I'm an organized collector, which these two are not. They are the least organized.
You're
people.
A minimalist. You don't have a lot. You like
I like my good stuff. I like my
less quantity and higher quality. I'm not judging you for it.
Yeah, collect the way you want to collect.
There was such a tone in that. But anyway.
No, never. I never have a tone. We're keeping it short this week.
I know. I'm trying. The worst part for me, if just me got out of cards, would you guys still doing the podcast? I wouldn't be here to talk cards with you guys. That would be it. See, from the heart. That's from the heart answer.
Well, yeah, I agree with that too. I still think we would find we were talking before we got back into cards. Like I don't know if we'd be doing this podcast necessarily because it's the name of the show, but we still be talking fantasy football and stuff. But I agree with Mike's sentiment where. Like I have so many cards. Like I would be disgusted with myself with the number of cards I have.
Not that you can tell by looking at your background.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like this whole shelf right here is just it's a tip of the iceberg. I got to tell you. So, but yeah,
EP would have to quit his job to start listing cards at that point.
I would, yeah, because I wouldn't be able to live with myself with the amount of cards I have here if I just got so sick of them, disgusted with them.
Imagine living in that apartment full of cards and you don't like them anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
All right. Next question. Is competitiveness good for the hobby, and or what level of competitiveness is good for the hobby?
Sure.
So do you mean competitiveness between collectors or like between companies or like what? How were you thinking of this question?
I was thinking collectors, but whatever pops into your head, whatever the first.
We'll do collectors then. It's kind of fun to see like someone, like a couple people chasing a rainbow, and like there's only one of one, right? So like I kind of enjoy that part of it, but as in everything in life, you get too competitive and people turn into assholes real quick. So I think it's good for the hobby because it can be fun. But then on the flip side of it, once it stops being fun, it turns terrible.
I mean, I think it'd be okay. This is one of those answers, but I think it'd be good or bad. Like, I mean, I don't want a lot of competition on my Paul Heyman cards. I want to be the guy collecting them and not have any trouble getting them. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it is good. Like, I feel like it brings out the passion in people. Like, how much do you want it? Like Joe said, if there's a 1-on-1 out there, how much do you want it? Like, there are people that are willing to get it at any price. Are you that? Like, it really, I feel like it does maybe help you realize how much you really do or don't like it. So yeah, there are situations I think where, being competitive as collectors pretty good.
I am fearful before you answer VP. I am if the 101 of this Merino Picket ever goes on eBay or wherever. I am fearful that I'll find it out there in the world and have to see what I'm willing to pay.
Yeah.
I don't have any collections like that, like Heyman or the Pickett Merino card. Like there's nothing like that I am like actively searching for. I just love my collection, but I also like, but I do like when I see people. I feel like if people weren't, if they didn't want their collection to be the best, then it wouldn't make people do what they do in this hobby and try, and really strive to have a better collection and find better cards and talk about it and be passionate about it. Without that, a little bit of competitiveness, I believe there wouldn't be the passion there that we all have.
Yeah.
And I feel obviously if it can't go too far, then it gets to the point where, like Joe said, where people turn into jerks. But I mean, that competitiveness is what leads to our passion. And that's why I think there's some of it is good. Too much of it's probably bad.
It's like people when they have to go out and buy a PSA 10. You don't really need a PSA 10, but you want the best version of that card because your buddy who you're competing with has a 9. So I need a 10.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Give me 3 athletes, characters or icons, just a subject, who deserve their own PMGs, that don't have PMGs, that you want them to have their own PMGs, or that maybe we don't know about they have PMGs.
Paul Heyman definitely needs a PMG because I don't have one. There isn't one, but I think that would be pretty cool. Never going to happen, but it'd be pretty cool. Boy, I'm not really familiar with who doesn't have them. Like,
yeah, same.
Most of the newer players, I guess, would be like Shohei Ohtani would probably be pretty cool for the hobby if there was a PMG of him because he's the hottest player in any sport and, it's an iconic card. And boy, I don't know.
I got a really good one. While you're thinking, Mike, I'm just going to throw it out there.
Okay, go ahead.
Here's the winner. Kenny Powers.
Ooh, yeah.
A red PMG from his uniform down in Mexico with the American flag. Could you imagine how cool that PMG would be? That's got to be up there.
Are on my list that I need to start getting. They're not cheap, but I need that
from like an HBO magazine or something.
Yeah.
And it's for those of you who haven't watched Eastbound and Down, put it on your list. It's
I'm stealing your answer. Yeah, it's my number 3. Definitely, I would be after that card.
There's some wrestlers that I think would look really cool. The AEW is coming out with PMGs. Someone mentioned that they're the ugliest cards they've ever seen. Kenny Pickett, obviously, for me, like Mike said with Heyman. Marino already has a PMG, but it's super expensive, so I'm not gonna be getting that one. But Kenny Powers, Kenny Pickett, Kenny Loggins. There we go.
Kenny Loggins. Who
are yours?
I think a Ron Swanson red PMG would be pretty epic, pretty awesome. I like the movie theme. It's like a Crash Davis or I can't think of his name. Charlie Sheen from Major League.
Wild Thing.
Yeah, Ricky Vaughn.
Ricky Vaughn.
Yep. Yeah. So just stuff like that. I think that would be really fun to have.
You could name like movie characters,
any number
like
of
a list of probably 20 of them easily. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And if like somebody else like Patrick Mahomes, just because he is the player right now, probably
a red PMG, Patrick Mahomes,
with the red jersey. Yeah,
that'd be pretty crazy.
Well, Brady, I don't think.
I'm not sure when they stopped. I was trying to think about that too.
I don't think he has a PMG.
I don't think they had him in 2000.
Yeah,
pretty sure they didn't. Yeah.
So I mean, there's another one that would be he replaces Kenny Loggins.
All right.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, this one's a tough one. This one was definitely from Sports Grad Therapist, but he also heard it from somebody else. What will your collection look like in 20 years? Picture your collection in 20 years. What does it look like?
Well, it'll be spread across the country because I'm going to be dead. Come on, let's be serious.
I was thinking the same thing as he's talking about. I was like, gosh, I don't know if I'm
years?
alive in 20 years.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. Like, that's a really, really good question because like right now I'm so focused on the Pickett stuff, the college Pickett stuff. Like if there's a Peyton Manning that comes out of Pitt over the next 20 years, that will have that. Like, I think that's the thing that I'm kind of micro focusing on right now is Pitt stuff, Pitt players in Pitt uniforms, high end stuff that's really cool looking. So probably that, and boxes and boxes of Topps Chrome because Fanatics will have the licenses we think we're like, oh my God, we might be dead. Fanatics will still have the licenses when we die. So I'm thinking Topps Chrome. A lot of boxes of opened up Topps Chrome.
Yeah, when I
Topps Chrome football.
When I thought of this question, I thought, man, I can't wait to hear the two different answers from you guys because Joe, you are usually so micro focused on what you're collecting, and then Mike is more of the broad collector like me of crazy things. Well, Hayden as well, but I mean,
but I wouldn't be surprised if I buy, since they're only going to be like $50 a box according to EP. I wouldn't be surprised if I buy a case of Topps Chrome a year.
Oh no, Topps Chrome is a different thing. You're micro focus on Topps Chrome as well, like that.
Yeah,
like it's really going to just be that. But yeah, so Mike, what about you?
I hate to say it, but I don't know that I'll have much of a collection in 20 years. I mean, I'm going to be retired hopefully by then, and I don't think I really collect anything that people in my family are going to want to keep to try to get rid of after I'm gone. So
I got more.
Sadly, I don't know that I don't know if I'm living in the Carolinas on the beach somewhere in a condo on the ocean. I'm not sure I'm going to want to be lugging around a whole lot of cards. So they may be gone when I buy my retirement home. So.
I've already what's that? Oh well, I'm old. I'm old too, and I have outlived the life expectancy of most men in my family, which is saying something. But
who's
anyhow,
being morbid now?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So
and
anyhow,
also your body is just like Skin and Monster and Red Bull.
Well, it's all that taurine. They've released that study. That's taurine. You'll live forever. I have so much of it in my system. I'll live forever. But I would like to think that my collection in 20 years, maybe even 10 years, it would be the same, but just less of it. Like right now, I just have so much stuff, but I don't feel like I would change the kinds of cards I collect very much. Obviously, I hope to have more of the NBA Hall of Fame slabbed set put together within the next 20 years. But I also feel like I don't see myself changing the way I collect to anything other than the cool like $1 inserts and that sort of stuff. I just those cards really sing to me, and they're inexpensive. So it's not
they
like
might be worth $100 by then. Who knows?
Probably not. I think in 100 years, those $1 inserts from the late 1990s are going to be worth $1 still.
Because everyone slapped them now. They've all been protected.
Yep. Okay, this next one. If somebody offered you $1 million to leave the hobby forever, would you take it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's $1 million, dude.
Yep. $1 million.
Yeah,
$1 million. Like, I love the hobby. I really do. Yeah. I very much enjoy it.
I love $1 million.
I love $1 million even more.
Sorry.
And
that's all right.
We, for Mike and I specifically, I mean, 3 years ago, we weren't in the hobby. Like, so it's been like, as much as we love it, it's been just a small amount of time for us since we got back in. So if someone came up to me tomorrow, hey, would you like your life like it was 3 years ago plus $1 million? I'm like, yes, I'm sure.
Cue up all the reaction videos from like the snobby elitist collectors that will now be saying we're not collectors because
we're not real
collectors. $1 million and not be part of it. Yeah, that clip of us going, yep, take the money.
Yeah.
The thing is, it would pain me for sure, but with $1 million, I could probably never work again in my life, and assuming I won't live 20 years, never work again in my life, and live more comfortably than I live now, with that amount of money. Yeah. Yes, I wouldn't be able to, and not work and never work again on all those things, and then I couldn't collect. I couldn't be part of my life, but I would find a way to make it work. Like that would be. I mean, $1 million is
it's life-changing money.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous amount of money. So
yeah.
So if anybody wants to give me $1 million to leave, I will do it.
Right.
Throwing that out into the YouTube verse out here.
Yeah. I think it would be a very, very small percentage of the hobby, people in the hobby, I think, who would not take $1 million to get out of the hobby.
Well,
I really think
the ultimate question for those people who would question us about it and be like pearl clutching about it, would you sell your collection for $1 million? Everyone would say yes, for the most part, depending on what you have.
Some people might not.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's the
extra
piece of it that you can't spend that money on.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
What common interest does everyone at a card show have beyond sports and cards? So do you think there is a common interest between everybody at a sports card show that is not sports or cards? Think about us as a people. Is there
I
anything?
don't want to say anything disparaging, Mike.
They probably have a somewhat addictive personality.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
feel like there's part of us that want to acquire more of it, and like we're going to the shows because we want to acquire more. So I feel like there's probably some kind of addictive personality trait that people have.
That's a good one. I would probably say some level of gambling.
Mhm.
Like they enjoy to gamble in some way, whether it's daily fantasy, fantasy football, playing number, like scratch offs. They're into the thrill of this could turn into this, just like we
Mhm.
are with cards.
Along the same lines, very very similar. I think a lot like there's a lot of the competitiveness is a big part of it too. Like we talked about that before, because there were a lot of people at that show yesterday that were talking about fantasy football. The one dealer who had to cancel, he couldn't go because he had to go to a card show in, I want to say, Williamsport or something like that. Like he had to drive like a pretty good distance to get to where his show was. That's why he ended up not coming to the show yesterday. So
His
like
draft. You mean
his
his
draft.
draft?
fantasy
Yes,
football?
draft day. Yeah,
Yeah.
draft day. Yeah, fantasy football
Yep.
draft day. Like you
Well,
can't.
of course you have to do draft day.
And so I feel
I
like
mean,
the
our draft's
competitiveness
about to
also.
start in League 3 in 12 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
I set it on auto start though, so we're good.
Oh, good. We're set. I don't have a pick to the third round per usual, so it's whatever.
Okay. What 5 cards make your collection yours? If you had to pick 5 cards off the top of your head, let's say this is Joe's collection, this is Mike's collection. What are these cards?
Nope, wrong shoulder.
Yep.
I have my gold Paul Heymans. I picked 5 of them. I only have 2 2014 gold refractors that are graded, but I have 5 2015. So let's go with the 2 2014s and the 3 best 2015s. But
So
I love
they're
those
all
cards.
Paul Heymans. That's awesome.
They are, and I will buy more. Like I'm always looking, especially for the 2015, because they're not quite as much as the 2014. But like last I checked, I had the only 10, and the pop reported that, and I have the rest of them are 9s. So I'm always looking for those. I mean, we talk about how great refractors were in the 90s and stuff. They were still really good, like in 2014, 2015 especially. Like the wrestling cards are shiny, like ridiculously so.
I could do the same. I have the 5 Pickett Merino cards. I'm like Mike. Like even though I only need the number out of 1, out of 3, and out of 5 yet. If one came up, a blue one came up for sale on eBay on an auction, I would totally bid on it and try and win it. I mean, because of course. But I'm going to go a different route. I'll say the silver one, which I have downstairs of that. I'm going to go the PMG Bert Emanuel because, I mean, what do people know about me? I beat Mike in the League One championship in
Who's Bert
1996.
Emanuel?
I'm going to go with the Brady that I got from Mike, the Bowman Chrome Brady. And then the Warren Moon up there, because that's one of the cards that I had from my original collection that I kept. And then 1984 Topps Merino that I won using the winnings from that championship. Bought a complete set, so I'll keep the Merino since we can only keep one card.
All right. For me, I have to go with the 289 Upper Deck Griffey rookies, 2 of them, just because that's a very much an example of my collection, having multiples of these cards that I don't need to have 2 of them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Those 2, I have a Reggie Jackson bat card that's got a piece of game used bat in it that I really love, and so Reggie Jackson card. I would say I have a graded uniform card from like the 1800s, a graded like a military uniform card, like a tobacco card that I got, and it just I didn't pay hardly anything for it, but also it's an example of like the range of my stuff. And then a Barry Sanders card, even though I don't really have a Barry Sanders off the top of my head that's the best one. I do have the blue Pacific one that I forget the exact style it was, but it's a really cool looking card, and that's one that we had said it should go into HGA. And so
Back in the
you
day.
can never have enough. I have 10% of the 2015 gold refractors of Paul Heyman, I want 20 to 25%. I do. I want 10 of them. I'm not gonna lie. I want 20% of the market.
Like there are technically like less than 60 total of those flawless dual autos, because there's a 25, a 20, a 15, and so on. I want half of them, half of all of them. Like, I mean, come on. And they don't come up often enough for me to bid ridiculously, thank God, right? Because of that whole addictive gambling personality thing that we all have. So yeah, thank God they don't come up that often.
All right. You have a new collecting target. Some might call it a grail. Are you sharing it with our viewers? Are you sharing it on Twitter? Are you even sharing it within this group of three of us in the text thread? Or are you keeping it secret to yourself?
I'm not keeping it secret. I mean, I post an update on my, grail, I guess you could say. I'd love to get that 101, but
you're not worried about somebody taking the 101 out of your hands?
I mean, if it's out there, someone's going to get it anyway. That's why I think saying grail cards and being secretive, I don't want someone to bid me up to be a dick. I mean, that's right. That's different. But I don't think they're cards. They're going to be out there. Someone else is going to see it. So what's the point of keeping it secret again, unless you're trying to keep someone from bidding you up?
Yeah. I mean, and also with social media now too, if you're looking for something, if it comes up somewhere, somebody might point you to it. So, if you're trying to keep it under wraps, I don't know that that's really the best thing to do, because there are a lot of people Joe, nobody's looking. Most of the people on Twitter aren't looking for that card. They know you are. And if they see it, if they see a Paul Heyman 101, maybe they'll think, oh, Mike would really like that. At least
I even sent people to the National looking for these cards.
So I feel like your initial instinct is, well, I'm not going to let anybody know until I get it. But you might actually be hindering your chance to get it by doing that. So I feel like it is better to let people know. We joke a lot about all the idiots in the hobby and people who want to scam you, but there are a lot of people that are in it for good that would be more than happy to help you. That would be feel good about themselves if they pointed you to the card you were looking for. So that's pretty cool. So
yeah, there's a lot of people in the hobby who just want other people in the hobby to find their cards and be happy to as well. And so yeah, I'm the same way. I literally the second I figured out a card that was like that, I would be texting you guys for sure. I don't know if I'd be on Twitter right away saying it, just because I'm just not on Twitter as much. But I mean, I would you guys would know immediately as soon as I decided something like that. So
I did have somebody
says that we're going to steal that card.
I did have somebody that pointed the 2014 Paul Heyman Superfractor out to me. Unfortunately, I didn't buy it, and I know the person that did buy it, so at least I know who has it, and he's somebody on. So maybe if he ever gets rid of it, he'll let me know. But somebody did point that out to me. I just at the time, thankfully, I hadn't run a stack sale, so I didn't.
Because you totally would have bought it.
I might have. I don't know. You have to have a limit. I don't really.
That's how I feel about the Merino pick.
I don't know that I care to chase the 101s just because pricing is way too out of whack. So
right.
All right. Last question. Give me 3 unappreciated greats in the hobby.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
So probably I was thinking athletes, but I mean 3 unappreciated greats in the hobby that are subjects on cards. Put it that way.
Calvin Johnson. I don't know why that name stuck in my head, but he's one of the best to ever play, and you can get his cards dirt cheap. I mean, you could just say non-quarterbacks that have been awesome for years. It'd be, running backs especially are really, but specifically Calvin Johnson jumped into my head. Drew Brees.
Yep.
I think we talked. It was on the pod. I think we talked about his cards and how you can get them for almost nothing because for some reason people have passed. He's been passed by. Third one, I don't know. You have any?
LaDainian Tomlinson.
Yeah, that's a good one.
He, literally is one of the greatest players to ever play his position in the NFL. And
statistically, he's got the best numbers per game than even Emmitt Smith has more more totals, like more yards and touchdowns and stuff. But I mean, per game, like Tomlinson hasn't beat.
Yeah, you talk about like the gap for running backs to quarterbacks, like it's just crazy. So he's definitely one. Drew Brees, I was gonna say too, so I have to say him too because you're like the guy won a Super Bowl. The guy was like a record holder. Like he was literally had some of the best numbers of any quarterback to ever play in the game, and since he retired, nobody cares. Like I feel like I should buy a rookie card of his just because they're so undervalued. Boy, I don't know my third one. I'll throw it back to you or Joe or you.
EP. Who are your three?
I think Breeze and Peyton Manning are two of the most underappreciated.
Yeah, he was one too. His cards are a little bit
going up a little bit, but I mean, I know you guys are going to laugh, but Eli Manning, 1-2 Super Bowls.
It wasn't my head.
He was never any good.
He won 2 Super Bowls. He had a pretty good career. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Scott's going to unsubscribe if you keep bringing that up, by the way. Our boy Scott's going to unsubscribe.
But my number one for me would be Marshall Faulk. I feel like he made the greatest show on turf work. Like his skill set, it was just incredible. And he was a threat, such a huge threat running the ball and catching the ball that he really
imagine Marshall Faulk in the NFL in 2023.
Oh my God.
He was, he was that originator that now you see guys like that can do.
Christian McCaffrey really well. Tried to do it, and he's just he got hurt. I mean, like Faulk was so consistent, and so he didn't get hurt. Yeah, that's a good one.
I feel like we need a baseball player in there somewhere.
I was just gonna say, is like Pete Rose. I don't know. Like I don't know baseball. Is he a baseball player?
I feel like there are a lot. I mean, there are a lot of like Hall of Famers who like borderline Hall of Famers or like the Hall of Very Good. I think baseball does a better job because of baseball's exclusivity with the Hall of Fame. Like the really great players are in there. So I don't know.
I'm going to say Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds, because he is the best player to ever play baseball, and because of the whole steroid thing, like a lot of people, like he's undervalued. He's clearly undervalued, and a lot of people just automatically say, "Oh, he cheated," and like it's not.
Meanwhile, really he was playing against other people who were also cheating.
Exactly.
I think
so.
I think like there are other people who like Pete Rose who probably might not get in the Hall of Fame until he passes away. I think Bonds gets in was alive. I think that sentiment is changing a little bit. I think he's going to get in the Hall of Fame. Like I wouldn't say like soon, but I think he's going to get in the Hall of Fame here during his lifetime before he passes away. Despite this,
I hope. All right, did we do it all? Is that it?
I think we did. Yeah,
I think we've said it all.
Well, remember, leave your answers in the comments, because if you watched and you didn't comment, we're gonna find you. We will find you. We will knock on your door and we will say, "Hey, answer the questions."
We'll hand you the piece of paper with the questions on it. So you
answer my questions. All right, guys, that was a fun one. We'll see everybody next week. Later, guys.
See you, boys.